under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. All right, we will start with a roll call. Today is Patrice Scott is here. Butch Cushing.
Present.
Howard Berman is excused. And Tom McLaughlin.
Present.
Is here. And our alternate Freeman Plummer is excused. He was unable to attend. So I have reviewed, has everybody reviewed the minutes of July 11th? I've found a few typos on, let's see, the third page, let's see, 1, 2, 3, the fourth page. Brian, on that first bullet, the third line, we had this time rent this to instead of the 3 unrelated students. If they choose, I would take the last 2 out. And then 2 lines down, we have the second sentence. It is there, just a misspelling, T-H-E-I-R, understanding. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down from there, we can just remove the comma after they will conform with. Dwellings, let's see, there's a 2 that's out. Okay, 2 lines under the comma line is, their plan is to merge, there's a the there. Okay, and then the second bullet, we have Jeff Nielsen noted that the best laid plans change. I just take out that out. And other than that, I did not see anything. Does anybody have any additions or
Good detail.
deletions? It's hard to get rid of the English teacher in me, so,
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
okay. Tom Butch, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that is done. All right, now we are here this evening for a public hearing on case number 107-056 for a variance. The request for a variance from Article 4, Section 406A, concerning lots in 2 zones, to allow one aspect of a commercial service, garaging of commercial vehicles and light maintenance, to be co-located with a single-family home on a split-zoned parcel. The home and the garage are to be located in the agricultural zone. All right, I would ask the applicant to come forward, or if he has a representative, he or she. Okay, hi.
This is Kurt Schuler, and I'm Alexandra Disney. We're a husband and wife, and I think his name's on the application,
Okay,
but we're both here.
Alexander will be reading our presentation.
okay.
So we're the hopeful landowners interested in purchasing a 24-acre property on Reservoir Road, currently owned by the Fry Trust. We are applying for a use variance in order to allow our commercial vehicles to access agricultural zone through single-family residential zone. Of the 24-acre property that is zoned agricultural, less than 3% currently resides in single-family residential, as shown in the zoning map. We are the owners of Pemmy Tree Works, an arboriculture company serving this area. While we plan to live on the property and enjoy the woods and the trails, we will build a barn to store some of our vehicles. Our tree work vehicles will need an ingress and egress to the property through this very small section zoned single-family residential. No building will be constructed in this zone, and all commercial services are performed off-site. Here are some notable considerations. The planning board this summer already determined that our business is a commercial service, therefore it's permissible on agricultural land. The use will not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance, nor the original intention of the property at the time of its subdivision. We have planning board minutes here from September 24th, 1987. I found them after we had produced the original application. So sorry for that. So these minutes state the following. Quote, 8 p.m., Richard Gonsalves showed plan of land of Oscar Cushing Estate on Reservoir Road. Land is an agricultural and single-family zone. He would like to subdivide the house lot and create 2 additional lots and leave the remaining land in back as a large parcel in agricultural zone, end quote. Clearly, this land was intended to be zoned agricultural. So this was before the subdivision, referring to the back lot, the large parcel being the parcel we're hoping to buy. Point 3. Conforming to Article 4, Section 406 of the zoning ordinance on lots in 2 zones would also prevent the Atwoods from accessing their agriculturally zoned property. Like the Fry's property, their property was clearly intended for agricultural use. The purpose of this zoning ordinance is to keep the eastern end of Reservoir Road residential, which we intend to do not only by building our home on the property, but also by storing the vehicles out of sight from the road well within the agricultural zone, which otherwise cannot be accessed. The primary purpose of the property is residential with only an ingress and egress for commercial vehicles. These commercial vehicles are no louder than permissible residential vehicles like diesel pickup trucks, and certainly not as loud as motorcycles, which we do not own. Most of the property will remain wooded in current use with walking, biking, and hiking trails, thereby maintaining the sense of place so valued by Plymouth and its residents and us. As stated in the 2008 Plymouth Master Plan, we believe this property to be an opportunity for us as future Plymouth residents and business owners to have a business in an area with, quote, appropriate safeguards that are compatible with private residences, end quote. Finally, our vehicles have resided with us at the Holderness School amidst hundreds of residents for 3 years, and there have never been any complaints nor objections. Thank you for your consideration. We want to be sure we can have our business on this property before completing the sale. Although we don't know the Frys personally, they've been nothing but supportive of our plans for this cherished piece of land.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Would anybody like to ask questions?
Joe, what do you got in your fleet? What's your fleet now consist of?
Currently, we own 2 1-tons, essentially, and a bucket truck.
Okay. And these vehicles have been stored at Holderness School in the past? Uh-huh. And whereabouts?
I think the number's 36 Mount Prospect Road. Don't quote me on the number. But
Okay, so it's up the road.
It's not, if anyone's familiar where the maintenance facility is, it is in front of that,
Okay.
closer to the school.
Yeah, it's between that and where the Bartons live,
Okay.
in that dormitory past the head's house.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then we park once in a while in front of we live in a dorm on campus as well,
Oh, okay.
when we need to perform maintenance.
House and,
So you wouldn't have to make that like a full town road or anything going up there. You just make it like a driveway, right?
It'd just be a personal driveway. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You said you plan to build a home on it?
Yep.
Okay. And it shows how far back would that be in the back part of the lot, or?
It's hard, sort of hard to say at this point. Probably not that far back in the lot. It'd be very expensive to get power that far.
Yeah, okay.
The spot we like is sort of where the height of land is before it drops off towards the direction of the marsh back there. So the height of land is certainly well back.
Oh, is it wet once you get back there? The back half wet or
No.
marshy or what?
Not until the very edge of the property. There's currently a trail there as well.
Oh, beautiful. Looks like a great piece.
We're very excited about it.
Now, in a lot of these tree companies, they end up with a lot of extra lumber, timber. Do you plan to store any of that on the property?
Potentially for our use as firewood, depending on what we build for a house. I'd like to do a passive solar, but if we build a barn, I'd like to be able to heat that with firewood. And then there might be some storage There wouldn't be a lumber yard or anything like that. I don't have we don't have a mill.
You know, I was just thinking of logging trucks coming in and out, maybe. Some of these places take the timber, take the lumber and store it, and then market goes up, they sell it off. So I just was wondering if,
Most of the time, our jobs are 1 or 2 trees,
okay.
which I like to give. If it's hardwood, I usually try to leave it for the homeowner. If they don't want it, I usually try to give it away to somebody. Pine, unfortunately, it's not a very great market right now for good logs. I would be interested in keeping those until I had a full load to maybe bring to a mill somewhere.
For the most part, though, I mean, right now, we'll say that most of it's chipped. Everything is
We try to
chipped,
chip everything.
and we take it to the power plant in Bridgewater.
Or give it away to people in the area. So.
So what are your plans for expanding?
Kind of unknown at this point. I mean, I'm not going to say that, as a smart business owner, I wouldn't say that I don't have any plans to expand. If we were to add to the fleet, I mean, I think the next thing would probably be another chipper, and then potentially a log truck. A crane would be further down the road, but the crane would probably have to be stored somewhere else. Again, there's no plans for a crane at this point. There's too much insurance on that, so I'd have to, a few more years at least to get to that point. But I can't say honestly that isn't someday a possibility for my company. Otherwise, I shouldn't be in business.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
How long was the driveway that you were gonna build in this?
Looks like
It's
about
400 feet to the back edge of the abutting interior property. There's a map with the
Right here, yeah, the white one,
with
right
the
behind that.
application.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's basically the single-family part is the driveway.
I mean, if this was coming off that other road there, what is that other road anyhow?
Binks?
Thanks,
That's
Hill.
Binks Hill. I mean, if it was coming off there, it'd be like no question. this
Binks
whole
Hill is
thing.
also zoned single family. The only access to the property.
Oh, it is, oh, I thought this all blue was all agricultural.
No, Binks actually does have a single family over there.
Oh, it does, oh, okay.
Very, very similar to what appears here at Reservoir Road.
I see, okay.
All right. Okay, we have the outline, we understand what the
Yeah, I
proposal
do.
is. Any more questions, Butch?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
24 acres, I wish I lived on 24 acres.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All
Well, if it
right.
doesn't work out.
All right, well, why don't I will open the public hearing now. I don't know if you'd like to sit down, and then if people would like to, we can go through the board, okay? But
Okay.
I'd like to, thank you, open the public hearing and ask if there is anybody here who is in favor of the proposal? Yes,
I am.
you are.
I'm Bill Clark.
Yes, Bill.
Resident 69 Reservoir Road.
Okay.
I've had conversations with the applicant,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that they are sincere in what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, the driveway comes right next to my house.
Mm-hmm.
The trucks are, 1 tons. They're not that large. Well, they're 1 tons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel that they will be in and out many, many times during the day. That, it's like when I go to work, I leave and I come back at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're gonna set up a racetrack or anything to run them around the place. And I don't see a problem with it personally. I'd rather see a single family than somebody purchasing that and building a development
Mm-hmm.
back there. That would be more so of a concern than just having a single family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. And please identify yourselves for the
Tom
record.
Terrio, I was going to talk to being opposed.
Okay, well, I'll give you a chance, right? And is there anybody else in favor? We try to do it in, okay, now anybody opposed? Yes, sir.
Tom Terrio, butter, I'd be across the street from the entrance.
Okay.
Seemed like a very nice couple. I would have questions about the materials of the driveway
Uh-huh.
and any restrictions on, I think it was mentioned, logging trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a little background, we moved to that property in 2005,
Mm-hmm.
specifically to be a little out of downtown for the quiet,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I'm a light sleeper. And by and large, in the summertime, when the windows are open, it's pretty quiet in the morning. We do have a rooster that can't tell time. That is a bit annoying, but that's another situation. So I guess I would respectfully ask for a denial of the variance, because that sounds like, well, they're one-ton trucks and chippers and this and that. My experience with those kinds of vehicles is they still rattle, they still get old, and they still make noise. Even diesels make noise. And it would be unequivocally disturbing, I would say.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone? Yes.
Ted Wisniewski. I'm at 72 Reservoir Road, right next to Tom and Barbara. My big concern isn't so much with the one-tons, but the future plans, which are not clear, and
Mhm.
the possibility of purchasing logging trucks and other things that may not be on the docket right now. And I don't know personally whether or not, if something like that has to come in again, if they want to add to it. So I worry more about scope creep,
Mhm.
and on that basis, I would be opposed.
Okay. Wisniewski's. All right, is there anybody else who would like to make comments? Either, yes?
My name is Rhonda Bishop. Somewhat abutted. My family's abutted. I have interest.
Uh-huh.
My only concern is I don't know. I know that septic goes up to across the street. I don't know whether they would be bound to pay for 400 feet of to get hooked up to the town, or whether they plan on having water and septic on site. And yes, there is water areas in the backside. There's our family pond, which it abuts to, and there's water slopage, and I know that there's a lot of underground stream line, which is between you and the Fry property, or was the Fry property. It's all wetland in there, so it's surrounded. I don't know what the overlay is with the town. I didn't get an opportunity to come down to see the overlay sheet of underground water system and how that's placed out, but my concern is the water. You know, my concern is also the vehicles as well, but, you know, at this time, it seems minimal. I don't know, again, the same concerns that these individuals have as well, if there can be a cap. This is what we're giving you approval on, no more. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works, or if it does,
Right.
but,
Yeah, I don't know that. I think that's, that gets into the planning board area of, beyond my
Question
knowledge.
about
The underground water system and whether there's water on there. I know there,
We don't map that in the town,
yeah.
and they are not bound to tie into water and
Oh, you've
sewer.
been coming from the well, from the
I
From the
guess, I
water
don't know,
tank that
Rhonda's
they could go
interested
across
in
Yeah,
the-
that.
that's, you know, there's no, you're not bound to hook up to the water if it passes by your property, but
Yeah.
if the sewer passes by within,
You have to
I
hit.
think it's 250 feet, you have to
Right. So that, I
Subscribe.
would think that's a matter for site plan review when they,
no, because looking at this, they're over 400 feet from the road, and the sewer line does not extend up the road to that point. It stops at Binks Hill Road. There is a leg that goes to a private property on the opposite side of the street, but it's purely theirs. It's a force main that comes from their house to tie into
That'd be
it.
too bad not to have to put the house on town sewer.
so anyway, I guess that's not our concern. That's something that is guided by.
It's not a concern at all because
Yeah.
there's no compunction that exists.
Right,
It is what it is. An acre lot is the minimum size for a in-ground septic in the town of Plymouth. Obviously, this is large
Right,
enough.
way more than that, so, okay, does that help, Rhonda?
It does answer some of the questions. I appreciate that, and obviously I think of EPA. I don't know anything about that, but, and servicing of the vehicles, the equipment and that stuff, I know that you guys are gonna have a barn, and whether you do your own maintenance and that sort of thing, and what do you do with the waste of that, and how does that, how have you been handling that?
Okay, would you like to answer that? Do you have to service your vehicles on site if they're stored there as?
Should we answer some of those, all those?
Yeah, you could just stand up and answer, it's okay.
The servicing for me is limited. I'm not a mechanic. So, you know, air filters, oil changes. You know, with some of that, I think most of the time I take it either to the dump in the same container I got it from. So it's like anyone changing their cars. You know, people have the right to do that at home. That's basically what I'm going to be doing. The big stuff goes to, right now I use Courier and Sons. So that's who gets to do it. I don't plan on having any kind of fuel storage. We don't plan on having any kind of waste treatment facility. You know, that's not what I do. I get home from work and I would rather, you know, I have to do billing and other stuff like that rather than have to do a ton. I mean, you know, if it's something I can fix that's easy, again, air filters and general maintenance that we can all do on our own cars. The septic, you know, I think we're not planning to build anything that's going to need a massive septic. I mean, we talked with a septic designer already, and I think you know, a 3 or 4 bedroom septic plan is what we're thinking of building, which is, you know,
Yeah.
it's
So-
primarily a residential place. If we have a bathroom in the barn, that we'll see if we can afford that, but that would tie in, and then we plan to drill a well up there. So hopefully that answers some questions.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll say the maintenance right now, the light maintenance he refers to, is happening in our driveway, in front of our dorm where we live with 18 boys at the school. So it's certainly all picked up, you know, and disposed of and taken care of.
Yeah, tail lights and
You
stuff
know,
like that.
like anything would be in front of someone's house.
Okay, well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or concerns you'd like to bring to the board?
I'd just like to raise one point that depending on what you come up with tonight, they're bound for site plan review.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely going.
they have to, but you're just gonna treat that thing like a commercial? It's not just a house in the barn, huh?
Because of the commercial overlay, because of this, we put the question to the planning board, as you recall, as to what this use actually is. And they determined that commercial service isn't just a place where you go and exit with nothing in your hands, but it could also be off-site work, like Kurt's Tree Service, or anywhere where you would go to visit, pet groomer, for example. Now, generally, that would be done in a home occupation and no one would know. But due to the size of the barn, it's beyond the 20% consideration for home occupation. So that's why they were advised to go to the planning board for that. So the use of the property is single-family residential. But they have a blessing for the small commercial overlay as not the primary use of the property, definitely a secondary use of the
Right.
property. And any conditions that this board or the planning board would put in, they would be held to.
Okay. Okay, well, I have one question that I thought of, and I thought it might come up in the audience, but why don't I close the public hearing? And I would just like to ask you about your hours of operation. What have they been in the past, and what would you contemplate?
Our hours of operation are 7 to 3. But as an arborist, I do reserve the right to, we do work 24/7 for emergency services. If there are trees on houses, someone calls me, I'm gonna go and take
Right.
the tree off the house.
Right.
But We're 7 to 3.
Right, okay, thank you. All right,
Could I just add one more thing?
sure.
I'm not sure this part was clear, so I just wanted to clarify that, if it's determined that we cannot have the business there, I just wanted to make it clear that, we will be backing out of the sale agreement and.
Right.
And, okay, I just wanted to make that clear so people knew.
Uh-huh.
I'm not trying to add pressure in that way, I'm just saying that
It doesn't make sense.
the next person, could come along and purchase it, and we don't know what they would do with it.
Mhm.
So.
Right, okay. Well, thank you. All right. Is there
Any
any
other
more
questions?
discussion? Any other questions?
Finding of facts?
Yep, let's find the facts.
It's 24,
26 acres, how many?
24.2, I think.
24.2 acres
Oh, yeah.
in, primarily
Only
in ag zone,
yeah, only 3% are in the single family.
3% in single family.
As Brian said, it's a residential with a little commercial overlay.
Mhm. Proposed.
And it also means they want to use it as their primary residential.
Mhm.
So it's not like somebody's putting a house up there and renting it.
Mhm.
Residential owner occupied.
Okay, so proposed use is primarily residential
Yep,
with commercial overlay.
yep.
Secondary structure is for storage of trucks, basically, is for fleet storage. What would we say,
Uh,
storage of commercial
Vehicle
vehicles?
storage, commercial vehicle storage.
Business occurs off-site. Well, let's see, not that, how would we say that? Services occur primarily off-site,
That's
right?
good, yep.
I think you could strike the primarily, Madam Chair, because it's
Yeah,
100%
they do,
outside.
100%.
Right, but Kurt, you mentioned maybe office work at home, but that's,
Oh, yeah,
That's-
so that's like,
Not on the table, I believe.
yeah.
okay. So what do we say, commercial service occur off-site?
Yeah,
Okay,
It's fairly restricted access, Madam Chair. There's only one way in.
right, okay, and that's through the
Oh, yeah,
residential
that's a
zone,
good
right?
one
I
for the
think that's
lot.
yeah,
It's
we want to
gonna
say
say-
something about that.
so the lot is only accessible by, there's no
Through the
way to get in
single-family
that
zone.
landlocked on Biggs Hill.
So how about that landlocked
Well,
lot is only accessible
By reservoir.
through the single-family zone on Reservoir Road. Okay,
Concerns, public, is the expansion, possible expansion.
public express concerns about future expansion
Noise of the vehicles.
and noise, potential noise. Okay. Anything else?
Basically, this is unrestricted land dumping down into a single-family neighborhood. That's what we got. This is Bob Fry's lot, so,
Right next to his.
oh, right next to his.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and one neighbor was supportive and other neighbors were against.
Right. One neighbor supported. Opposition, others opposed. Okay.
In the planning board, they recommended that being as a commercial service. Did we put that in?
Yeah, planning
Okay.
board will be reviewing and approved, how do we say that, commercial
Overlay.
overlay and approved use as a commercial overlay. Residential. Okay,
And they will be going to site plan review.
right, yeah, planning board will be reviewing and approved use. And pre-approved, how about that, pre-approved use as a commercial
Well,
overlay?
it was just a determination, it wasn't really an approval.
Okay,
I mean, we had to decide what it was before we could even
Okay.
speak about it.
right, okay, and so what do we call that, and determined?
Well, it was determined that that could be considered a commercial service, and
Use
which
was
automatically
a
forwards them
commercial
to
service.
site plan review.
Okay. Okay, we can word that better, Brian, but that's what we intend, okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there anything else for findings? I think we're good.
We can't say nice young couple wants to come into town.
Well, you could. Where's the fact on that?
Everybody agrees.
Where's the
Opinion.
fact? That's right.
All right, how about if we go through our criteria now? All right, number 1, granting the variance will not diminish the value of surrounding properties. We'll start with you, Tom.
You always start with me. Why don't you go
You
the
wanna
other
start
way?
to- okay, I'll start on the
Just-
left.
Good, that's
Butch.
beautiful, I appreciate that. I know, right,
I think, with the concerns and stuff of the public, I would have to say false on that one.
Okay. I would say that is true.
Number 1, will
Number
not
one.
diminish the value of the surrounding properties. I think that's false too.
Okay.
You can't say that this lot that's actually unrestricted, and for the future, they could do a nice expansion up there. They probably would still have to come back, but basically they have their entrance on, right into that single family, right, single families across the street.
Mhm.
That's, who knows what it could be 5 years from now. This
Mhm.
kid's probably gonna have a successful business.
Mhm. Okay. Number 2, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest.
You have to say false.
Okay. All right, can we articulate why you think it's false? The variance will not be contrary.
Well,
Oh.
it's
So
not
if-
gonna be to the general public interest, but to the people right there, that's like, you know,
Mhm.
and I know that could wind up being a lot of units. It could probably be, 6 or 8 units back there and cause a lot of traffic, but they would be, pickup trucks and motorcycles.
Mhm. Okay. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. I would say that's true, but Tom, you're saying that's,
Well, not for them right there, it isn't. That is gonna help those neighbors. They're here to tell us that.
okay, so you're saying
Yeah,
that's
that's
false?
false, too.
Okay. All right, number 3, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship to the applicant upon proof that, A, the zoning restriction as applied to the applicant's property interferes with the applicant's reasonable use of the property, considering the unique setting of the property and its environment.
That's kinda true, I think. It is a unique situation there.
Right, it's,
It's really choking that whole back 20 acres, but it is what it is. all you see on the fairground, on that road, on the Reservoir Road, is that entrance and
Right, so, and that's the only way to the property,
property.
right? So,
I think that's true, that it is applied, it interferes with the applicant's reasonable use.
right, the
I mean,
exist,
but that's what it is, it's
Right.
just,
okay, so you say true, Butch says true, and I say true on that. Okay, number B, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general purposes of the zoning ordinance and the specific restriction on the property.
well, you can't say that, that, that's false. There is a fair and substantial relation, that's why single family is single family and agricultural is agricultural.
Right. Well, so you say that's false, okay. Tom, I agree that's false, so all three. Okay, and C, the variance would not injure the public or private rights of others.
That's false.
Okay, all right, that's, I'm going to say, so Butch false,
Yes.
Tom false. I'm gonna have to say that's false. Okay, number 4, granting the variance would do substantial justice.
Well, it would for one half of the piece, put the back here, but the other half kind of gets stepped on. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
I don't,
I'm gonna say true.
okay, Butch,
granting it would do substantial justice, but only for one side. False. I'd say it's
okay,
false.
Tom false. And I would say true too, that's 2, let's see, Butch, Therese, and Tom. All right, and the use will not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the ordinance.
It would be to dump a commercial lot out onto single family is, that would be contrary. That's my feeling anyhow.
Okay, the use will not be contrary, so you would say that's false. Okay, how about you, Butch?
I'll say false.
Okay. And I would say false also. All right, so what does that leave us with? We would,
It's failure on 3 of the criteria.
yeah, we would actually need 3. We need to have at least the 3. So I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that
To deny
to deny this
variance.
variance.
Okay, second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Sorry, guys.
yeah, I'm very sorry. Right. On the criteria that we see. Boy. Okay, let's see.
Is there a field?
Yeah, it would have to be under, the motion for rehearing
Make a motion to adjourn?
No, we can't, we have,
would be,
we have 2 things to talk about. Just simple. Law lecture series and letter of resignation.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we said,
like a misapprehension.
thank you.
Something done with that. You have 30 days.
Oh, that's too bad. You really gotta think about the, 10 years down the line, what things become.
Is there anything that bothers me from driving my pickup trucks up there? Say we buy it and don't build it. would be the one thing I would have to say.
Unfinished. What do we got?
Yeah, we just have to go through and mention this, the law series. I wanted to ask him about that.
This is not
Just
at all.
let him-
No, it's okay. I just would, if we go through an appeal, we could potentially say, we will buy this property, we will drive our trucks up there anyway, not build a barn.
Right.
I don't see how that's a good process to go through. You know
It's
what I
really
mean?
not. That's why I urge you to go the other way.
Right.
Because,
I'm not saying we're gonna do that, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that is that through laws and everything, is
Mhm.
there potential, we could do that, we could actually drive our trucks there, just not have a barn. Is that something that's legal to do? I'm not saying we're gonna do it, but I would say that would be maybe something we never talked about and wanna talk
Hmm.
about it as a potential for.
I'd have to really look at that one to see.
Okay.
It would seem to me, just on the face of it, that you'd be correct. But I'd have to look at through the rest of it
Right.
and see,
We should
you know,
talk.
just if there's like go or no-go point,
Right,
where it becomes one or the other.
right. Because,
And mostly they're concerned with creep, and that's why I wanted you to do the site plan review and get this blessed through them, because then all the cards would be on the table.
totally understand, yep. I think the big thing here was the noise, and that worries me because anyone could buy the property with any vehicle.
Oh, yeah, you could have bikers up there.
So noise to me is not something to deter. If it's creep, if it's something else, that's fine. But noise to me is a hard one to swallow in.
Considering that it's
In
all
today's day and age.
during legal operating hours.
Exactly. That one, I find that one's hard for me to understand. That's very hard for me to understand, especially with today's day and age and
Yeah.
normal diesels, pickup trucks. If you are allowed the right in the United States to have a pickup truck that is a diesel or a motorcycle. Commercial trucks rolling out at 7 o'clock in the morning and coming back at 3 o'clock at night is the problem. So we will, we'll talk about it and we, 30 days for the appeal and now that's back here. Is that the next?
Yes, you would plead your case before the board
With,
for a rehearing.
Reconsideration.
okay,
And then
okay,
you would have to do the variance application all over again.
that's fine, okay. And that would be, the next meeting would be November 3rd.
You're right in
Or
the beginning.
First Tuesday,
First Tuesday,
November,
sorry.
yeah.
First Tuesday in November.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Something to consider, but thank you very much for your time tonight.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. We're kind of strict on the criteria, and it's really a matter of, people coming in too. I thought you
Right,
did a
and
good job presenting it.
No, they're entitled to their
You just did a
opinions.
college town and the neighborhoods get so hurt.
Right.
And it's just like somebody's really.
Yeah, but it's a completely different hurt.
Yeah, different.
But this is, yeah, we're not.
Oh,
we're not,
I know
We're
what
not
it's
college.
called.
I know that's a
I'm
big
just saying it
issue.
just raises the anxiety level.
It's a commercial. It's a commercial thing.
Well, we're trapped between the university and our rural lifestyle.
Right,
So something's got to
Yeah.
give somewhere along the line.
yeah,
And certainly the university isn't giving. So,
right, right, yeah. So
We were hoping that
I would say, yeah, so anyway, we have
What do you
two.
got?
you guys got to get to work.
We just have to,
calculate.
I wanted to present the letter of resignation from Omer and say thank you to Omer for his service, and we're sorry to lose him. And
Told him
just,
he better hurry back.
yes, hurry back.
Move away or
because-
what?
Yeah.
He's just, for personal reasons, can't do it at this time, and
Sure, okay.
we're hoping to see him back on the board, but also if there's anybody out there who would like to join us in the zoning board, we are in need of alternates and members, so please submit your
Probably
interest, a letter of interest
Happy
to
times.
Brian Murphy. And then, Brian, what about the law lecture series that's
Oh,
coming up?
that's come and go.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I've gone to it before. I don't know if anybody
Yes, I
else
have,
has.
yeah.
But,
You probably
yeah, I don't have it, I don't have the
No,
brochure
I
with me,
looked
but
at
I
the
think you
paperwork,
sent it.
it
Yeah, you sent it
had
to us.
already expired. It came out way early. I preloaded this because I was going to be on vacation.
Uh-huh,
And then when
okay.
I came back, I went through all the paperwork again.
So it's coming in October, I think, right?
They
Or
come
November?
all the time.
Oh, okay.
And I think what I'm going to do in the future is, as soon as they come in, I'll just email you all the
Okay.
applications in that way.
All right.
You're aware, and obviously the town will support you in your
Yeah, that's
endeavors.
great. Okay, I'm gonna check the dates and see if I can go, because I enjoyed it. But, okay, so at 8:45, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay,
Seconded.
Rich, Tom, thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
both coming.
Very good.